So this episode starts off with a bang. It takes from where the last one left off, and it's just Levi going in on the female Titan. And it was really freaking hype, and it was just going super crazy. And to be honest with you, this is the first time that I was a little bit disappointed with Mikasa. I understand you love Eren, but I think this was a moment for you to sit back and let the pro handle it. And I guess this just exposes one of Mikasa's biggest weaknesses, which is one of her strengths. You know, Eren always powers her up. You know, it's one of the things that motivates her to go strong, keep going in, and being the best that she can be. But it's also her weakness, because right then and there, it's like, no, she needs to be paid back for what she did to Eren. No, I'm gonna get her. And then that ended up messing with Levi, and he ended up having to save her and messing up his leg. So it's like, it exposes that Eren is Mikasa's greatest strength, but he's also her greatest weakness. The first 7 or 8 minutes of this episode was just action-packed and freaking intense. It just shows how skilled Levi really is. He was like a freaking chainsaw or blade, a human blade at that, when he was just ripping through her and everything. And that really just gives me hope that even if it's the armored Colossus, whatever it may be, that Levi would be able to take care of it, because he's just so goddamn good. And it just shows that he's really in a league of his own. I don't know about Erwin or any of the other guys that are, you know, top tier and pros, but as of right now, Levi is definitely one of the greatest when it comes to using the 3D maneuver gear and combating Titans. Now, the second half of this episode is where it was still good, but it kind of got a bit problematic, and that's the fact that the second half was filler, where pretty much the bodies, they were trying to, you know, recover the bodies, and they didn't want those 2 particular soldiers, they didn't want those bodies to be left behind, and then they brought the Titans back. That was actually filler, but it was still good filler, because it still gave character development to Levi, and showed that he actually really does care about these things. It's just that, you know, he has to put that brave face. He has to be the inspiration to these soldiers. He has to be the one that they look to when they're scared and when they're in doubt, and he just has to be the best that he can be and put on that brave face and be hard and solid. But he really does care deep down, like when he had the little patch, the symbol and whatnot, and he gave it to the guy in remembering of the friend. It's like he does care, but he needs to be strong for these people. So it gave good character development, but it just kind of gets me a little bit worried. There's a possibility this could create even the most minuscule plot hole, because let's just say a future part of the story or a future episode, there's a part where they're like, you know, there's dead bodies in that graveyard, Petra's in that graveyard, and the fact that they had to throw Petra's body, that wasn't actually in the manga, if I'm correct. So it kind of gets a little bit problematic at that particular point. Maybe this could create even the most minuscule plot hole or something. Hopefully not. Hopefully this is just something that they consulted with Isayama Hajime himself, so that, you know, they could get permission to do this. But it still gets me a little bit worried, even though the scene was handled very nicely and it just really gave a bit more development to Levi. And then the third part of the episode once again deals with Levi having to put on this face. And it was interesting to see that he kind of did crack a bit when the guy was talking to him about Petra, her father, and whatnot, and you see these wide eyes that he has. It's like, how do I deal with this? You could definitely see that Levi is not the best when it comes to being a people's person. He just can't really handle it. And overall, this episode, if anything, it provided a lot of detail and a lot of development for Levi, and just giving you more into who he is, what he can do, what he's capable of on the battlefield, and what he's capable of as a person in general, and talking and just handling situations on a political aspect. Freaking Erwin, when he was walking through the crowd, looked like he just had this dead face, like he's so used to this, having to pretty much walk by while everybody's like, these deaths, were they worth it and whatnot? And it just shows that this has taken a toll on him to the point where he just looks like he's dead, a walking corpse. Also, wasn't a big fan of when they showed once again that flashback of them as kids, Mikasa and Eren. It's kind of like at this particular point, I think they're slowing things down because they want to stop at a particular point, and I understand that. And like I said again, most of the filler in this episode was handled very well, but there were particular parts where I just was like, I could tell they're doing this on purpose to slow things down. If I'm correct, this episode covered less than an entire chapter. Either way, I still say it was a good episode, and I love when it gives development for a character, especially how Beast showed that Levi is as a person, as a fighter, and just all around. So I'm gonna give this one 7.5 out of 10. It was good. It gave you action at the beginning. It gave you character development, but the filler definitely worries me for future events. Let me know what you think. First of all, was this the first time that Mikasa kind of let you down? For me, because she is probably my favorite, if not one of my favorite characters in Attack on Titan, and this was the first time where I was kind of like, what the fuck you doing, bitch? And do you feel like you got a good grasp of who Levi truly is in this episode, with all the events, the filler parts, as well as the battle parts and everything around it? Because I'm sure a big reason of why he went just crazy when he was fighting the female Titan, cutting her up every which way, is because this was his reaction to losing his crew to this monster. Your overall thoughts of the episode? Again, good episode, 7.5 out of 10. Hopefully the next few episodes get a little bit more crazier, and we finally find out who the hell this female Titan is. Even though I'm sure you, and everybody watching knows who the hell it is by now. At least I hope. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for Levi, because episodes like this really just give him more of a real world feel and show that he's just not this battling guy that can fight, but he also is a person at heart, and I really respect that. I'm for Netherworld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.